So, what does it really take for a nation to not just get by, but to become truly indispensable in today's world? We're going to dig into the hidden power behind building that kind of strategic resilience, that one crucial factor that can literally make or break a country's entire future. This piece of ancient wisdom from the Bhagavad Gita is the perfect place for us to start. It's a powerful reminder that building something strong, like a nation, is all about committing to the right actions, the process itself, without getting paralyzed by worrying about the final outcome. It's really a call to just do the work. So let's get right to it. In this crazy, unpredictable world we're living in, what's the one thing, the single biggest obstacle that's standing between a nation and reaching its true potential? I'll bet the answer isn't what you think it is. To figure that out, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at the new challenges India's up against. Then, we'll dive into a really interesting paradox in how governments work. After that, we'll talk about who's really responsible for making change happen. And finally, we'll see some pretty incredible proof of all this in action. Okay, let's jump right into part one. What is this new core challenge that we're all facing? Let's get into it. The world we thought we knew, yeah, that's pretty much over. That era of hyper-globalization we all grew up with is fragmenting. Now, everything from trade to tech is being shaped by security worries. The old rulebook for how to succeed economically, it's been tossed out the window. And here's the thing. In this new reality, the biggest roadblock isn't what you'd expect. It's not a lack of smart ideas or even a shortage of cash. Nope, it's something much, much more fundamental. Something at the very core of how a country actually, well, functions. And that something is what we call state capacity. Think of it like a nation's engine. It doesn't matter how great the blueprint for a car is if the engine can't actually turn the wheels. State capacity is that engine. It's the raw ability to get the right things done effectively. So if state capacity is the engine, how do we upgrade it? How do we make it more powerful, more agile? Well, that brings us to this fascinating and kind of paradoxical idea, the entrepreneurial state. In a world this unpredictable, governments can't just be administrators anymore. They have to start thinking and acting like entrepreneurs. That means having the freedom to try new things, to learn super quickly from what works and what doesn't, and to pivot on a dime. It's about a constant cycle of innovation. Now, this slide, wow, it just nails the huge culture clash we're talking about. On one hand, you've got your traditional bureaucracy. Its main job is basically don't mess up. Compliance is king. But on the other side, an entrepreneurial state sees failure completely differently. It's not a career-ending disaster, it's just data. It's a stepping stone to figuring out what actually works. So what's stopping this huge shift? Well, a big part of it is this tricky concept called hysteresis. It's just a fancy word for institutional inertia. You know, the we've always done it this way trap. When temporary rules become permanent fixtures, any attempt to experiment feels like this massive, high-stakes gamble that could blow up in your face. So nobody tries. So how do you break out of that cycle of fear? It takes a whole new mindset. You've got to create sandboxes, these safe spaces where new ideas can be tested without risking the whole system. You have to protect people who take calculated, good faith risks from getting punished later on. And maybe most importantly, leaders need to show that changing course isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength and competence. But here's maybe the most crucial point of this entire explainer. Building this kind of agile, capable state, it isn't just the government's job. Not even close. This is a team sport. And guess what? We are all on the team. The government, of course, has to lead the way by fixing its own engine. It means breaking down those old, rigid department silos and creating these nimble, mission-driven teams that are laser-focused on solving one specific problem at a time. And look, the private sector has a huge, huge role here. Instead of always looking for a special favor or a loophole, businesses need to be the loudest voices demanding a competent, fair, and efficient government. They need to push for a level playing field for everyone, not a rigged game for a select few. And then, at the very bottom of it all are the citizens, us. We're the foundation. When we all agree to play by the rules, when we take pride in our public spaces, we build the most important thing of all, trust. And that trust is the currency that allows the state to stop policing every little thing and start focusing on the big picture. So is all this talk just, a nice theory? Absolutely not.
Let's look at some powerful, real-world proof that these ideas are already making a massive difference.
A few years back, a really bold national initiative kicked off. The goal? To cut through the mountains of red tape that were just suffocating the economy. This wasn't just about tweaking a few rules. It was a massive, coordinated push to build a more responsive government from the ground up. And the results are, well, they're genuinely staggering. Just look at this. Out of more than 800 reforms they identified, over three-quarters are already fully implemented. This is what happens when you have a clear mission and everyone is rowing in the same direction. And these aren't just numbers on a page. We're talking about real, tangible changes. Things like making it easier to convert land for use, streamlining construction permits, and getting rid of outdated labor laws. This is stuff that makes a real difference in people's lives, every single day. So let's bring it all home. What's the big takeaway from all of this? A strong, resilient, indispensable nation isn't built from the top down. It's a collaborative project. It is co-created by the state, the private sector, and every single citizen, all working together. You know, this powerful quote from Sir Mark Tully just says it all, doesn't it? It's about that fundamental shift from a system of being ruled to a system of shared responsibility and collaboration. And that, right there, is the true source of a nation's strength. The only question left is, are we all ready to build it together?